Welcome to Starbound Valor HFY. Subscribe now and dive into daily epic sci-fi adventures, where humanity always rises. The enormous star city of Orion Prime hung in space like a glowing crown, filled with lights, towers, and ships from 100 alien worlds. Inside its largest chamber, the Hall of Judgment, a strange silence waited like a living thing. Every seat was full. Every eye watched the center of the room, where the leaders of the Galactic Council sat on high silver thrones. They were the rulers of the galaxy, feared by all, obeyed by all. Today, they judged only one thing: the future of humanity. A long, thin beam of white light appeared, and from it walked the human ambassador, a man named Adrian Locke. He walked with steady steps, but his heart beat like a hammer. Behind him stood no army, no allies, no friends. The whole galaxy stood against humans. The Council High Speaker, an ancient alien covered in blue crystal plates, stared down at Adrian with cold, unreadable eyes. "Humanity stands accused of dangerous ambition," the speaker said. His voice echoed across the entire hall. "Your species grows too fast. You fight too hard. You challenge rules you do not understand. You are a threat to the balance of the galaxy." Adrian raised his head. His voice was calm but strong. "We have broken no law. We have attacked no world. We only grow because we want to live. Is that a crime?" A wave of whispers moved through the alien crowd. Some looked angry. Some looked afraid. The speaker continued. "Humanity has expanded into 30 new systems in 10 years. You build weapons faster than any race before you. Your minds adapt too quickly. You change too easily. You rise too fast." Adrian felt anger burn inside him, but he kept his voice steady. "We rise because we work, because we dream, because we push forward. That is not a threat. That is hope." The council did not react. There was no softness, no understanding. A second council member, a tall creature made of floating smoke, spoke next. "Your species cannot be controlled. You refuse to obey our limits. You refuse to slow down." Another member added, "If we allow humans to continue, they may dominate the galaxy." Adrian's breath caught. Now he understood. This was never about balance. This was fear. Fear of humans becoming strong. Fear of humans becoming equal. Fear of humans becoming more. Adrian stepped forward. "So this is your truth. You fear us not for what we have done, but for what we may become." The hall fell quiet. Too quiet. The council had expected humans to beg, not speak with strength. The speaker slammed his staff onto the ground. A bright ring of energy spread across the floor. "Enough. The council has reached a decision." The air felt heavy, as if even walls held their breath. "Humanity is hereby banished from all council-controlled space. You will leave within 48 hours. Any human ship found inside our borders after that time will be destroyed." Gasps filled the hall. Adrian froze. "Banishment," he whispered. "On what grounds? What proof? Where is the crime?" The speaker's voice turned colder. "You need no crime. You are a risk we cannot permit." Adrian felt something break inside him. Not fear, but a deep understanding. They never meant to listen. They never meant to judge fairly. This trial was only a mask for something already decided long ago. He looked around the room. Many aliens avoided his eyes. Some looked guilty. Some looked relieved. Some looked hungry for the destruction of humanity. Only one thing was clear. Not a single voice would defend humans. Adrian straightened his shoulders. If they wanted to paint humans as dangerous, he would not let them see fear. "We will leave," he said. "But remember this day. You cast us into the dark, not because we were weak, but because we were strong." The speaker replied, "Be silent. You are dismissed." Guards moved forward, but Adrian walked away before they reached him. As he left the hall, every step felt heavier. He imagined Earth receiving the news. He imagined billions forced to leave colonies they built with their own hands. He imagined children crying as their homes were abandoned. But above all, he felt a strange fire burning in his chest. Humans always changed when pushed. Humans always adapted. Humans always survived. Outside the Star City window, The human fleet waited like silver arrows pointed at the unknown darkness. Commanders and captains watched the council's decision unfold on their screens. Many cursed. Some cried. Some simply stared in shock. But one commander, Admiral Rhea, stood with her fists tight. "They think exile will break us," she whispered. "They have no idea what humans become when we are pushed into the shadows." The engines of the fleet powered up. The glow spread across the ships like a warning to the stars. Adrian sent one last message to every human ship. "Prepare for departure. The Council believes we will die in exile. Let us prove them wrong." And as the fleet turned toward the dark frontier, the stars seemed to grow silent, as if the galaxy itself knew a great mistake had been made. Because in that moment, humanity did not fall. Humanity began to rise. The human fleet moved through the darkness like a long line of silent ghosts, leaving Council space behind them forever. Thousands of ships, from massive carriers to small scout craft, drifted through the black sea of stars with their lights dimmed, their engines quiet, and their hopes uncertain. No one spoke much. No one celebrated survival. Humanity had been pushed out of the galaxy they helped build, treated like a virus, forced into exile without mercy or reason. Inside the command ship horizon, Admiral Rhea watched the star maps update slowly. Every new skin showed the same thing: empty space, cold and forgotten, far beyond the borders of any known empire. This region of space had no name. No trade routes, no colonies, no signals. It was a void, a dead zone, a place where the Council expected humans to fade away. Rhea stood with her arms behind her back, her eyes fixed on the blank region ahead. "We are not dying out here," she whispered to herself, and she meant it. Meanwhile, Ambassador Adrian Locke sat in the quiet meeting room with the senior commanders. Their faces looked tired, but behind those tired eyes burned something dangerous: determination. "Our supplies will last 6 months," Commander Isha reported. "Maybe 7 if we ration. Fuel reserves are stable. Medical levels acceptable." But she paused. "We have no destination. There is nothing out here." Adrian leaned forward. "Nothing is better than death. Nothing means we can build something new." Some officers nodded. Some remained unsure. Humanity was lost, but not broken. Still, a strange fear spread through the fleet. The space around them felt wrong, too quiet, too still. As if even light avoided this region. As if the Council sent them here for a reason they never explained. Days passed. Then weeks. The fleet slowed to conserve fuel. People grew restless. Some whispered rumors that this exile zone was cursed. Others believed an ancient disaster wiped out whatever lived here long ago. Rhea ignored the fear but kept scanning every hour. On the 22nd day of exile, something changed. A faint signal appeared on long-range sensors, so weak it almost vanished. A single repeating pulse, slow, old, and broken. "Is it a distress call?" a technician asked. Rhea frowned. "If it is, it has been repeating for hundreds of years." The fleet followed the signal into a thick cloud of dust and rock. When the dust cleared, the humans saw something impossible: a massive alien structure orbiting a dying star. It was huge, larger than any space station humans had ever built. But it was broken, cracked, and silent. Dead for ages. The megastructure looked like a giant ring mixed with a factory, surrounded by strange metal towers that once burned with energy. Now they were dark. Some pieces floated freely, torn off by time or war. The fleet gasped when the full image appeared on screens. "What is that?" Isha whispered. "A forge world," Adrian said softly, recognizing old alien designs from forgotten records. "A place built not to live, but to create." Rhea ordered a full survey. Human engineers and scientists boarded the structure with caution. Inside, they found shattered control rooms, burned corridors, and old machines frozen in silence. Dust danced in the weak light. It felt like entering the bones of a dead giant. But the deeper they went, the more they realized something important. This place could be repaired. Not easily, not quickly, but it was possible. And if repaired, it could become the greatest tool humanity ever touched. Old logs were recovered from cracked data cores. The messages were fragmented, but one repeated line sent chills through the team. This forge can change the fate of a species. No further explanation. No details. Only that one haunting truth. The humans brought the data back to the horizon. Engineers argued. Scientists debated. But one thing became clear. The forge world was not just a factory. It was a technological miracle. It could build ships, weapons, cities, even star engines, faster than any technology humanity possessed. Rhea stood before her commanders. "This is not exile," she said. "This is an opportunity." Adrian added, "This is why the Council feared us. They knew we would survive anything. They knew if we were pushed to the edge of the galaxy, we would come back stronger." The decision was made. The fleet would settle in this system. They would rebuild the Forge world. They would make it their new home. Days turned into weeks as humans worked tirelessly to restore power. Families moved into ships docked around the structure. Children stared out windows at the giant ring, asking if it would glow again someday. Engineers connected cables, welded plates, restarted reactors, and revived systems that had slept for centuries. And little by little, the dead giant woke. One night, as everyone worked, the entire Forge world shook softly. Then a deep rumble echoed through its metal frame. Lights flickered on. Slow, dim, but alive. The humans stared in awe. For the first time since exile began, hope returned to their hearts. Rhea smiled, the first true smile in weeks. "The Council sent us here to die," she said quietly. "But we found something even they could not imagine." The part ends with one last suspenseful thought echoing in every mind. Humanity was fixing something that once shaped the fate of another species and might now shape theirs. Weeks passed in the exile zone, and slowly the dead Forge world began to breathe again. The humans worked day and night, fixing machines older than their own civilization. Sparks lit the dark halls. Engines hummed. Metal groaned as ancient systems came to life after centuries of silence. The structure was enormous, like a floating city wrapped around a star, with tunnels so wide that entire ships could fly through them. Every day brought new discoveries, strange tools, impossible technology, unused power cores, and vaults full of designs written in a language no human could read. Yet somehow, engineers understood the logic behind the machines, as if the structure was teaching them. Admiral Rhea Salas watched the progress from the command deck of the horizon. She had never seen such teamwork, such unity. Humanity had lost its home, but here in the dark corner of the galaxy, something new was forming. Something stronger. Something dangerous. The first breakthrough came when a group of scientists unlocked a chamber deep inside the forge. The room glowed with soft blue light, and in the center stood a giant device shaped like a heart of metal. It pulsed weakly, as if waiting for a spark. After days of calculations, the scientists restarted it. A shock wave moved through the entire Forge world, and lights across the structure burst alive with bright energy. Suddenly, the Forge began producing power, more power than all human colonies combined had ever generated. A cheer spread through the fleet. For the first time since exile, humans felt hope stronger than fear. They used this new energy to reactivate shipyards. Massive robotic arms moved again. Fabricators worked with blinding speed. Machines humans thought impossible now responded as if guided by invisible hands. The Forge could build an entire ship in days instead of years. Rhea realized the truth before anyone said it aloud. The Council had made a huge mistake. Humanity was no longer limited by old technology, no longer trapped by slow production, no longer a rising species. They were becoming something far greater. Meanwhile, Ambassador Adrian Locke studied the old logs they found earlier. He sat alone in a dark room, surrounded by glowing screens filled with broken alien text. But one translated line appeared again and again. "This forge was made to lift our species beyond our limits, to guide us through the shadows of extinction." Adrian's heart pounded. Whoever originally built this forge survived something terrible, something that nearly erased them, and they built the forge as their answer. He wondered what threat they faced, and if that threat still existed somewhere in the dark. But he kept that fear quiet. Humanity needed hope, not fear. Outside the forge, the fleet trained harder than ever. Soldiers practiced with new armor made from the forge's metal, lighter, stronger, smarter. Engineers upgraded ships with new engines that could cross star systems in hours. Children studied new sciences born from the forge's archives. A new culture was forming, one built on survival and ambition. Rumors spread through the galaxy. Even far away, alien traders began whispering, "The exiled humans are building something powerful, something the Council fears." At first, no one believed the rumors. How could a banished species grow stronger in a dead zone? But the rumors refused to die. They spread like fire. Even inside the council chambers, the mood shifted from confidence to worry. Council members argued in hushed tones. Scouts they sent into the exile zone never returned. And soon, the council realized the rumors were not rumors, they were truth. Humanity was rising again. Stronger, faster, smarter. The council held secret meetings. Some demanded that humans must be destroyed before they become unstoppable. Others warned the humans were already too strong to attack, without risking war. No one agreed. No one had a plan. Meanwhile, in the exile zone, the humans tested their first new starship built entirely by the Forge. It launched from the dock like a streak of silver light, its engines creating a shockwave so powerful it shook nearby asteroids. Rhea watched the ship disappear into the void and whispered, "This is only the beginning." Engineers celebrated. Soldiers celebrated. Families celebrated. But Adrian felt uneasy. There was one part of the forge they still could not access. A sealed chamber locked behind walls stronger than any known metal. Every code failed. Every tool broke. Whatever lay inside that chamber was either too dangerous or too important to open. And that worried him. Late at night, he walked alone through the dim hallways of the forge. He felt the energy of the structure around him, like a heartbeat growing stronger. "What were you?" he whispered to the silent walls. "And why were you abandoned?" No answer came, only the soft hum of machines waking from a long sleep. Humanity was rising, yes, but the forge had a deeper story. One humanity had not uncovered yet. Still, the truth did not stop progress. Day after day, the empire grew. The forge became their capital, their sanctuary, their weapon. And slowly, the humans began to send ships beyond the exile zone. Not to return to the council, not yet, but to explore, to learn, to expand. And with each new star system they touched, their power grew. The chapter ends with Rhea standing before the glowing star outside the forge, saying quietly, "They thought exile would destroy us. But exile made us stronger. If the council fears us now, they should." Because deep inside the forge, something ancient stirred as new systems activated, like a giant waking from a long dream. The forge world glowed brighter than ever as humanity continued its rise, but deep inside the exile zone, something new and unexpected was approaching. For weeks, Admiral Rhea Salas noticed strange readings on long-range sensors, soft ripples in space, like small waves touching their borders and then disappearing. These signals were weak and irregular, almost like someone knocking softly on a door from far away. At first, Rhea thought it was a malfunction, but the pattern kept repeating, growing clearer each day. On the 12th day, the knock turned into a scream, a distress signal so sudden and loud that it shocked the entire command center. The horizon's alarm lights flashed red, and officers rushed to their stations. "Unknown fleet entering the exile zone," a technician shouted. "They are not council ships. They are damaged, heavily damaged." Rhea leaned over the display screen. Dozens of ships drifted toward them, most of them broken, burning, or cracked open. Some looked like they had been bitten by something massive. Others had giant claw marks on their hulls. Smoke and debris trailed behind the fleet like a dying comet. "Open a channel," Rhea ordered. Static filled the speakers at first, but then a weak voice broke through. A trembling alien voice filled with fear. "Please, help us. We are running. They are coming." The voice faded before giving any name, any explanation. Adrian Locke arrived on the bridge, just as the broken fleet entered visual range. The aliens looked humanoid but thinner, with pale skin and long blue eyes. Their ships were elegant in design, but torn apart, as if some monster had hunted them. Adrian felt a chill run through him. "What happened to them?" he whispered. What could do this? The alien leader, a female named Vaila, was brought aboard the Horizon. Her clothes were burned, her skin cracked, and her eyes wide with terror. She spoke in weak whispers, her hands shaking uncontrollably. "We are the Lyran," she said. "We lived far beyond this place. We thought we were safe. We were wrong." Rhea leaned forward. "Who attacked you?" Vaila's voice broke. "The Voidborn." The bridge went silent. Even the hum of the engines felt quieter, as if listening. Vaila continued. "They are not like anything you know. They do not speak. They do not reason. They do not want power. They only want to consume. They eat planets. They break suns. They tear apart fleets and grow stronger with every world they destroy. We fled, but they are coming. They always come." Rhea studied her. She was not lying. Her eyes held the kind of fear only survivors know. Adrian asked, "Why come to us? You do not know humans." Vaila nodded slowly. "We heard whispers that a species in exile was rising again, that your machines woke the dead forge, that your people do not fall easily. We hoped, we prayed, that maybe you could help us." Some human officers exchanged worried glances. They had just escaped destruction from the Council. Fighting an unknown enemy now felt too soon, too dangerous. But Rhea saw something else in this moment, an opportunity, not for power, but for purpose. "We will help you," Rhea said, "but we need to know everything." Vaila explained the Voidborn, creatures of shadow and hunger, older than any civilization. They traveled in swarms. They appeared from dark rifts in space. No one understood their origin. No one survived long enough to study them. Her voice shook as she described their first attack. A world devoured in hours, its oceans boiled away, its mountains crushed to dust. Silence fell over the horizon. Even the strongest soldiers felt their stomach tighten with fear. But Rhea did not flinch. Instead, she stood tall. "Prepare our ships," she said calmly. "We face the unknown." Humanity launched a rescue operation. Dozens of human ships flew out to recover the wounded Lyran and pull their damaged vessels to safety. Engineers worked non-stop, repairing alien ships with both human technology and forge-made components. The Lyran watched in awe. They had never seen a species adapt so fast. Children and families from both races shared food, stories, and hope. Slowly, fear turned into trust. On the 10th day, the Voidborn finally appeared. The first sign was a ripple in space, like a dark curtain being pulled aside. Then a swarm of black, insect-like ships and creatures poured out, moving like a living storm. Their bodies were sharp, twisted, and glowing with sick red veins. They emitted no signals, no language, only a deep humming sound that vibrated through the bones. "They found us," Vaila whispered, her voice cracking. "You must run. You cannot fight them." But humans did not run. Rhea stood at the center of the battle deck, her eyes glowing with determination. "We are done running," she said. "All ships engage." The battle exploded across the stars. Human ships fired beams of forge-enhanced energy, slicing through the Voidborn swarm. Fighters moved like silver arrows, dodging the creatures' attacks. The Lyran watched in shock. No species had ever fought the Voidborn this hard. And shock turned into hope when they saw something incredible. The Voidborn were falling back. Humans were winning. Admiral Rhea gave the final command. "Push them out of the exile zone." And with one final combined strike, the swarm shattered and retreated into the void. Silence filled space again. Vaila stared at Rhea with wide eyes. No one has ever survived them," she whispered. Rhea simply looked out the window at the darkening stars. "We are humans," she said softly. "We survive everything." And as the Lyran joined the human fleet, the galaxy began whispering a new rumor. The exiled humans had defeated what others feared. The Council had no idea. Humanity was no longer rising. Humanity was awakening. Humanity's victory against the Voidborn changed everything. News of the impossible battle spread across the exile zone and leaked into the wider galaxy through frightened traders and lost signals. Whispers began to grow in every star system. The humans are not dead. The humans have become stronger. The humans defeated the darkness. At first, The Galactic Council refused to believe the reports. They laughed at the rumors, calling them myths and lies spread by desperate species. But fear slowly crept into their thrones when their scouts went missing one after another. Every ship sent into the exile zone vanished without a single message. The council gathered in panic, arguing loudly, each member trying to hide their fear. Humanity is awakening. One counselor whispered, "They were supposed to die. They were supposed to vanish." Another hissed, "Instead, they have built something powerful, something we do not understand." Meanwhile, far away from the council chambers, the humans and the Lyran worked together inside the glowing forge world. Every day the forge became brighter, stronger, more alive. New ships rolled out of the giant docks, sleek, silver vessels powered by forge cores that glowed like captured stars. These ships were faster, stronger, and smarter than anything humans had ever created before exile. They were not just tools for survival. They were symbols of rebirth. Admiral Rhea Salas stood on the viewing deck, watching the first fleet of Forge-class ships form up in perfect formation. "It is time," she whispered. "Time to return." Adrian Locke agreed. He had spent months studying the ancient chamber deep inside the forge, and while it still refused to open, he felt certain the structure was preparing for something bigger, something humanity was now ready for. He turned to Rhea. "We cannot hide anymore. The Council fears us because they know we will not stay silent forever." Rhea nodded. Humanity was stronger than ever, strong enough to face the Council not as exiles, but as equals. A message was sent across the fleet. Prepare to leave the exile zone. Prepare to return home. The announcement shook every human heart, filling them with excitement, fear, and hope. Families packed their belongings. Soldiers sharpened their armor. Engineers checked every bolt on every ship. Children looked out windows at the bright forge world, knowing this place made them powerful. The Lyran watched with mixed emotions. They had found safety with the humans, and now they chose to join them on their return. Vaila, their leader, stood beside Rhea. "The Council will not welcome you," she warned. Rhea smiled. "We're not going there to ask for welcome." The human fleet moved out like a rising storm, thousands of ships, glowing blue with forge energy. The Lyran ships followed behind them, their once broken vessels now repaired and stronger than ever. As the fleet crossed the border of the exile zone, an entire region of stars lit up behind them, as if the galaxy itself knew a new chapter was beginning. When the humans entered council space, alarms echoed across dozens of star systems. Patrol ships scrambled to intercept but froze when they saw the size and power of the returning fleet. "Identify yourselves," one council commander shouted through the comms. Adrian stepped forward. "We are the exiled humans," he said calmly. "We have returned." The alien commander tried to act brave. "You cannot enter council territory. Turn back or be fired upon." Rhea simply gave one order. Transmit the battle logs from the Voidborn fight. The recording played, a terrifying display of human power, strategy, and bravery. The patrol ships fell silent. They knew they were no match for such strength. And so, not a single shot was fired. One system after another watched the human fleet pass, without resistance. Worlds hurried to inform the council. Fear spread like fire. Inside the council hall, the rulers tried to remain calm, but their voices shook. "They have returned," one member said, "and they are stronger than us." "We must stop them," another shouted. "With what?" a third replied. "With our old ships? With our broken unity? We exiled them, and they built an empire." Panic turned into chaos. Council members blamed each other for the ancient decision to banish humanity. They argued, screamed, fought. But the truth was clear. None of them could change what was coming. The humans approached the old border, where they once begged for mercy. This time, they did not beg. Rhea broadcast a message across every council channel. "We return not as exiles, but as equals. We seek no war, but we will not bow." The message shook the entire galaxy. Some species cheered secretly, hoping the humans would shatter the council's power. Others trembled, remembering the fear the council had planted in them for centuries. On the horizon's bridge, Adrian looked out at the stars with a calm but determined expression. "This is the moment they feared," he said softly. "The moment we rise." The chapter ends with the human fleet entering the heart of Council territory, their ships shining like new suns, while the Council prepares desperately for what they believe will be a final confrontation. Humanity has returned, and nothing will ever be the same again. The human fleet entered the Council's central territory like a silent tidal wave, thousands of forge-powered ships gliding through space with calm confidence. Every planet watched with breathless fear as the once exiled species returned, not in chains, not in weakness, but in full strength and unity. The Galactic Council held an emergency meeting, their voices trembling as they argued over how to face the humans. Some demanded immediate war, others begged for negotiations, and a few openly admitted that they had made a terrible mistake centuries ago when they exiled humanity. But before any decision could be made, the humans arrived at the grand orbital station known as the Celestial Seat, the political heart of the galaxy. Admiral Rhea Salas stood at the front of the lead ship, her expression firm and unshaken. Behind her, Adrian Locke watched the stars shift around the station, sensing that everything humanity had suffered was about to be repaid. Rhea opened a channel to the Council. "We come to speak," she said clearly. "Not as exiles, not as prisoners, but as free people who demand recognition." The Council chamber erupted with panic. Some members threatened to cut communication. Others shouted that humans had no right to speak. But then the Lyran delegation stepped forward on their own ship beside the human fleet. Vaila broadcast her voice across the network. "We stand with the humans," she said. "They saved us when the Council abandoned us. They faced the Voidborn and survived. They deserve respect." The Council fell silent. For the first time in centuries, someone openly challenged their authority. Finally, the High Chancellor himself appeared on the screen, his face pale. "Humans," he said slowly, "why have you returned?" Adrian stepped beside Rhea. "Because the galaxy is broken," he answered. "Because the Council is failing. Because you exiled us and used fear to control others. And because now we have the strength to stand against that fear." The Chancellor tried to respond, but his voice faltered. He could see the immense fleet behind the two humans. He could feel the power radiating from the forged cores in their ships. He knew that if war began, the Council would lose everything. So he forced a diplomatic smile. "What do you want?" he asked. The answer was simple. "Equality," Rhea said. "A seat among the ruling species. The right to travel freely. The right to build. The right to exist without exile." The Council murmured among themselves. For centuries they had painted humans as dangerous, unstable, and unpredictable. Accepting them now would mean admitting they had been wrong. But refusing them could provoke a war that would destroy their fragile control over the galaxy. While the Council debated, Adrian felt something deep inside his mind, like a whisper calling to him. It was the forge, the ancient chamber below its core. It had begun to glow again. Adrian's heart raced. The forge was reacting to something happening here, at this moment, as if it sensed a great decision approaching. Back in the chamber, lights flickered, symbols lit up, and the entire forge trembled gently, as though preparing to reveal its final secret. Adrian closed his eyes for a moment and understood. The forge was older than the galaxy, older than the Council. It held the legacy of civilizations long gone, civilizations that understood power far beyond anything the current galaxy had ever seen, and humanity had been chosen to inherit it. When Adrian opened his eyes, he spoke with new certainty. "Whether you accept us or not," he said to the Council, "a new age is coming, and humanity will lead that age, with or without your permission." This time, silence filled the chamber not with fear, but with realization. The Council members understood that they were no longer dealing with the broken refugees they exiled long ago. They were facing a rising empire. Finally, the High Chancellor sighed heavily. "Then we have no choice," he said quietly. "Humanity will be granted a seat in the Council." Rhea nodded. "This is the start of peace," she said. But Adrian gently shook his head. "No," he whispered to her. "This is the start of something bigger." The scene shifted as the human fleet docked at the Celestial Seat, and thousands of humans stepped onto the station for the first time in centuries. Some stared in awe at the alien architecture. Others held back tears as they realized they had finally come home. But beneath the celebration, Adrian could still feel the forge calling to him. Later, when the political ceremonies had ended, he returned alone to the communication chamber of the Horizon and sent a private, encrypted message through the forge network. "I am ready," he said softly. Across the galaxy, deep inside the ancient forge world, the sealed chamber opened with a thunderous echo. A golden light burst out like a newborn sun. The forge had awakened completely, and at its center, a massive hologram appeared, a star map of the entire galaxy and beyond, showing regions unknown, unexplored, untouched. Humanity had been granted not just survival, not just a return, but a mission, a destiny. The next day, Rhea found Adrian staring at the hologram. "What is this?" she asked. Adrian smiled slowly. "Our future," he said. "The galaxy is only the beginning. The forge was never meant to protect one world. It was built to guide a new civilization across the stars." Rhea stared at the glowing map, realizing the truth. Humanity was not returning to its old place. It was rising to a new one, a place no species had ever reached. The humans had come back from exile not as victims, not even as survivors, but as leaders of a dawn that would reshape the universe forever. The chapter ends with Adrian and Rhea standing before the shining star map, knowing that the true journey of humanity, its greatest journey, was only beginning.